Good morning, Dee, and good morning, listeners of the Coaches and Coffee podcast from ReDefineRVA. Demetrius, how are you today?
Feeling good, man. I'm feeling good. It's raining. It's gray, but I'm feeling good. I got good energy right now. Yeah, the sessions went well this morning, training virtually, so feeling good.
All about that virtual training these days. Me too, man.
Yeah, how about yourself?
Oh, man, good. Got up and got started on a blog today, actually, and now we're doing a podcast. So it's looking like a productive day for us here. But yeah, let's start off with the most important question. What are you drinking this morning?
Ooh, yo, I was waiting for that because it's the same thing I've been drinking the last 3 or 4 weeks, but I have purchased something new. So
we're excited to hear.
You're gonna have to switch it up because we can't be drinking the same thing.
Yeah, I've actually got a different one today. So we got some of the generic Whole Foods coffee, Allegro, I think, and made a cortado today. So
whoa,
getting a little fancy on you guys this morning.
Oh, hold on, man. I'm a little jealous. I'm not gonna lie. Like I haven't had a cortado in months. It feels like.
Yeah, it might be a few months too. It might be a few more months.
No, I'm getting one from Ironclad now that you said that tomorrow morning.
All right, there you go. That's always how it works. I always talk about coffee, and you always get a bunch more coffee.
Yeah, pretty much how it works.
Oh man! All right, so what are we talking about today? Why don't you go ahead and kind of segue us into this a little bit?
Yeah, man. I wanted to go over with everybody how to work out at home. And we're in home right now. We can't go out anywhere other than maybe if you go for a stroll, a walk or a jog. But how if you want to get a structured program in your home? Maybe you've been trying to follow other people's programs or you've looked into what we're doing. But yeah, I want to help people figure out how to do it themselves and how to put that together.
Yeah, so I guess we could start with maybe how you're doing your workouts at home, and then we can talk about a little more details later.
Correct. Yeah. So been a mix of things. A lot of the workouts that I do along with the clients in our virtual group training, they're structured in a way where we're working the entire body, and I think that's probably a good way to go with things right now, being that we're not utilizing a lot of tools. I mean, if you do have dumbbells, resistance bands, and weight and stuff like that at home, you can vary things a little bit more. But right now, they're full body workouts where we're touching on every body part or the major body parts, focusing on explosive movements, some strength, and some cardio. Kind of all in one. So it's just a nice full workout. So you get a good sweat. You know that you utilize some muscle groups to build that strength. And yeah, so it's a good combination of all that stuff. And so
right on.
Yeah.
And so are you seeing people, doing that sort of full body workout 5 days a week, 3 days a week, or what's the sort of frequency that people are doing this? And frequency just means, how often are you doing these workouts?
Correct. Currently, the frequency that I've seen most people performing them in has been about 3 days a week, which is great. And this is kind of why, I do it that way. With the intensity level, you possibly could do it more times a week. You definitely still want to have recovery and rest within those times there, whether you're doing some more cardio focused things in between those days, or you got 4 days on, a day off in between, then the weekend off. Ways to mix it up. But yeah, so majority of that, I would say about 3 times a week is what clients are coming in and doing.
Gotcha. Yeah, I think it's important to remind people whether or not they're trying to do this on their own or following a program, but a good program will still emphasize recovery for everybody. And, I think we've kind of skimmed over this a little bit already, but the fact that you can still create high intensity or just, intense methods of training at home with or without equipment. So I think we've kind of established that that's a fact, and you can still do things that you would do in the gym at home and you still achieve those same results. But people might be glossing over this idea that, okay, so, I'm not so sore from I would be from weights necessarily, or maybe things feel a little different. So I should be able to work things more frequently, maybe on a daily basis. But really, in the end, that's not a good method for recovery and progress, in that you want to make sure that your body is still recovering from the work that you're putting on it, whether or not it feels the same as it would in a gym setting before. So, with all this stuff, smart programming is still applicable in all aspects of whether you're following a program or whether you're just writing your own stuff or trying to exercise on your own. But giving yourself proper recovery per muscle groups is a good way to think of it. And I still, with my training, my one-on-ones, I'm still typically following an upper lower type split for our strength work, whether or not we throw any kind of cardio in there, because that's a little bit different of a system than it is a strength system. So if we're doing strength work, we're gonna focus lower body one day and upper body one day, and maybe even some things that focus more body parts. So like if we do some upper body work, it might be a little bit more bicep focused than it is tricep focused, and then the following time we do upper body, it might be more tricep focused, more so than bicep focused, stuff like that. So
Yeah,
you're really giving enough recovery to each muscle.
for sure, for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, no, that's definitely important. Recovery is huge. I think we kind of forget about that. And especially working out, you think the more you sweat, the more you lose or the more you gain. But really, the changes happen during that recovery time. So the sleep that you're getting, and yeah, what you're doing between those workouts is important.
Big time, big time. So let's dial it back just a little bit and talk about what makes a good at-home workout. And I want to dial that so far back as to almost what you would say to somebody coming in for a consult in the gym. Like, imagine listeners are like, what are you looking for? What kind of things make a good at-home workout? And where would you start with that in trying to guide people through a good at-home workout?
Well, first and foremost, it would be what is your goal?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yes.
definitely. Yeah, I mean, you got to start there first and foremost. A lot of people, I think, they just want to start moving and get moving, and that's fine. You got to take action. I will say action is important. It's better than trying to rely on just being motivated. If you can get moving and that gets you motivated, that's great. But if you want, again, structure a program and have something that's going to get you towards something, you want to have something to shoot towards, which is a goal. And that's going to be a better way to kind of put something together at home for yourself. And like you said, so if you're doing stuff and you're focusing on more strength-based things because you want to continue to get stronger, feel healthier during this time, then yeah, we want to make sure that we know that goal in place so we can structure the program in that way. If the goal is more, you yourself particularly like more cardio intense stuff, you are looking to lose weight, even though, again, we know nutrition plays a bigger role in that. But we still want to make sure that we're structuring a program where, okay, we're giving you what you want out of it and still getting you closer to your goal. But yeah, first and foremost, the goal.
I'm so glad you said that, man, because that shows, first off, like, where your coaching head is at, right? Like, you always want to start from the point of where people are and what they're looking for. And so if just a basic example, if somebody came to you and literally just wanted to start an exercise routine just to feel positive and feel healthy, and you were shoving like a weight loss thing down their throat, that'd be a bad coaching tactic, right? You got to meet them where they are, what they want, and then try to help them there, right?
Yeah.
Not try to force them into something else. So
Yeah. And that goes hand in hand, I think. I mean, because that goal conversation, it should get deeper than that, than just, oh, I want to lose weight or whatnot, because there's always something underlining to that there. And like you said, meeting that person where they are is super important. So yeah, just to like cut the corner and just be like, okay, yeah, weight loss, boom. Like, you're not really tackling, because then something could come up later and you find out they're super stressed from this, that, and another thing, and they don't have time. Like, all these excuses start to come up because that goal was just, kind of a fluff goal. It didn't have any substance to it to keep them going. So
big time, big time. Yeah. So, and just to touch a little bit back on our recent podcasts, goals probably should have changed a lot in the last month. And so somebody whose goal before was really gung-ho about one specific thing or really achieving, a fat loss goal, weight loss goal, bulk goal, maybe even a movement specific goal, whatever those goals were, the odds are in the last month those have gotten derailed a little bit, and then maybe the goal shifted to, I want to try to do something healthy for myself 4 days a week, 5 days a week, and it's not that goal specific other than a daily routine or a movement practice or something like that.
I mean, even what you
And
said.
so,
I'm sorry to cut you off, but I would say even what you said about like the cooking thing, that could be a goal. I want to learn how to make more recipes at home. Like, and when you come out of this and you get back on track with your other goals, you now have a skill to put in place to get you closer to your goal. But yeah,
100%. Yeah, so taking it, yeah, that's a great point. But taking it back to the workout stuff is channel it towards your goal. Make sure it aligns with your goal, and be honest about what your current goal is. Right? If you're shooting for the stars, that's great in the long term, but you make a realistic goal in the meantime. And if your goal was to max out your deadlift, odds are right now you're not going to be able to do that. So you might need to just stay sharp, stay healthy in the meantime, so that when things come back around, you can do something like that, or whatever it may be, right?
yeah.
So on that principle, let's kind of move towards structuring at-home workouts, and maybe you can take us through some of the structures, whether they be timed or rep-based, in the workouts that you've been doing. And we can talk maybe even a little bit about ourselves and what we've been doing. Maybe it's different than what we were doing before or whatever, but take us through kind of what the clients have been seeing from our side.
Gotcha. Yeah, it's definitely been fun, to say the least, programming during this time here, because it is getting me to think outside of the box, a bit. And you can even think of like our studio as a box. When you're in there, we're engaged and we had a certain method in our mind and the way that we were coaching things and programming things. So now that we're outside of that and have to do things a different way, it's been good to do, because it's pushing me to try different things, reestablish stuff that I already knew, but actually implement it, implement the things that I already knew and kind of put those in place. So that's been really fun. So the workouts have varied quite a bit. Some of the workouts can be, again, strength focused, where we are focusing on reps still, like you would in a typical gym setting. So we are focusing on reps, but maybe those reps now are done within a certain time frame. So we have a few reps of exercises within like a 10-minute period, which you're performing a circuit through. So yeah, there is a bit more. I would say a lot of what I've done has been circuit based, but too, I've done things in like supersets. And so where we're varying that up, I've done a lot of one-on-one training where we're still doing a normal like split. So we're targeting one movement at a time and just focusing on repetitions and building up the intensity for a single exercise. So it's been a lot of hit variations. So you can do so much with the hit type stuff, meaning in times. It can be 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. It can be 45 seconds on, 15. You can do that whichever way you like, which changes up the intensity of things. You can pair two exercises within that same time frame. So
Right.
yeah. So with the programs there, it's been a mix of those things, and then just to continue to progress on the next stuff, onto the next thing.
Right. And so, for people who might not catch on to the timed interval type thing, we're basically talking about workouts that can look like 3 sets of 10 of a movement and 3 sets of 10 of another movement. That would be more of what you would call a rep-based workout. And then you've got an interval-based workout, which is what Demetrius has been seemingly doing a lot of, is where you might do one movement for 30 seconds with maybe a specified rest of 20 or 30 seconds, and another movement for 30 seconds. And you can build that however you want. And, something that I've done is maybe pick 8 exercises for that, maybe 6 to 8 exercises, and do maybe, depending on the client, depending on the day and how we're programming, but it might be 20 seconds on, 20 seconds off. It might be, which would be kind of high intensity. There might be times where it's 40 seconds on, 20 seconds off, and you'd pick the movement so that we can obviously work for 40 seconds and not just burn out. There might be times of 30 on, 30 off, which is a good rest recovery ratio.
Yeah,
So all different ways of structuring those, but basically, in my head, the benefit of doing that in an interval setting is that it allows for a wide variety of ability in the movements. And so, for example, if you have the first movement and it's a 30 seconds of work, 30 seconds of rest, you can have someone who's really high level get through a large number or a higher output in the movement. Say it's a squat or a squat jump. You can have somebody who's strong and been working out and very fit and can do a lot in that 30 seconds, and maybe their reps look like 20, 25, 30 reps. And then somebody who's pretty new to it, in that 30 seconds they might do 5 or they might do 10, but it was kind of self-limiting. It was basically, this is what my body's capable of in that 30 seconds, and I'm right next to the person who's extremely fit and ready for this, but we're both achieving kind of a similar thing in a similar adaptation for our body. And it's really customizable and individual that way, which is a good thing, and that's a really positive way to do these group trainings.
for
Um,
sure. I think that's super
yeah,
important that you hit on that. Being that with the time stuff, you can make it as intense as you can handle, like you said there. So, in that 30-second period, you can choose if, for say, you need to slow things down and really focus on your technique of the squat or the squat jump, or if you really have it down packed and you want to get more out of it, you can go gung ho, and really give it your all within that time period before the rest comes up. So yeah, I think a lot of people might, you know, have tried something like this or have seen like a workout and like, yeah, but 30 seconds doesn't do anything for me. But it's like, what are you doing within those 30 seconds? Because I
right.
can run in place in 30 seconds as fast as I can and be exhausted for the next minute.
hmm
I
hmm
need a whole minute of rest before I can go back to that or another exercise.
So important that you said that, and that brings me to kind of the next point of how do you progress, or how do you, the way I wrote it here just for my notes was, how do you make things heavy, or how do you make things harder
Mm,
in these workouts? And you can take the same exact structure and do it a multitude of ways, and right. And so I can if let's take three movements. Let's do squats, push-ups, and a plank, or no, let's do like a sit-up or something. So if we have those three movements, right, I can do them easy, I can do moderate intensity, and I can pace myself and make it through the workout just fine. But I can also inject a lot of intensity and effort there, and I can focus on reps, and I can focus on speed, and I can add explosiveness, and I can progress things this way. And just to what you were saying about running in place, is if you add that intensity, and that's a choice, and that's effort coming from within, not externally from the workout. If you can add those things in, then you take that workout and you can make progress, right? So it's the same thing in the gym, though. If even though we have all the access to weights and barbells and machines and everything, if you don't inject that little bit of intensity or effort, you can't expect to see dramatic change in progress.
yeah. Yeah. No, that's super important there for the progress there that you talked about. Um, yeah, varying it up speed wise, trying different things to make things heavier and stuff like that. Cause you can still do that within that time, and make changes. And in progress could be getting better at the movement too. I was just working with one of our clients this morning. He was telling me how he just noticed his push up has gotten way better since
Mm,
we've started this, and it's not that he may or may not be doing more within a certain time period. He still says they feel, he said, I definitely notice them feeling harder because I'm doing them right now. Because I feel like I'm doing them right. I'm not feeling them elsewhere. Like I was feeling them a lot more in my shoulders than my chest. He goes, now I feel it in my chest. And he's like, it's crazy to feel this. He's like, it's so,
mm.
you can get better at the movements as well. That could be a form of progress during your time of
Yeah,
training.
yeah, absolutely. And on that note, like what other things are going to tell people that they're making progress? I mean, it's all related to the goal, right? But what other kinds of things can we look for that people could know that they're making progress with their at-home workouts?
Yeah. I don't know. Give us some examples, Ben.
So I would say one of the big things I would say is in this moment, what are people feeling? Are you feeling are you feeling proud of your work? Are you feeling like guilty? What are you working on in that sense? Are
Mm.
you finding that you can stick to a routine? Are you feeling better mood, better sleep, better energy? Um, let's see.
Yeah.
So exactly what you said, movement's getting better. Sometimes it's daily function is getting better. So you might notice that some things that were hard before might be easier. And it could be simple little things like picking up bags of groceries and walking them to the kitchen, or it could be like cutting grass. I don't know what, all these other functions like people are doing on a daily basis, but people have noticed those things getting easier. Walking up the stairs is easier, going on hikes is easier, longer walks are easier. All those sorts of things are typically what people don't pay attention to when we're talking about progress, and this is in the gym too, but all those markers of progress are still there, and people are typically quick to overlook them when there's a grander, larger goal in their mind, and maybe that one is the last one to come, or maybe that's the one that it takes all the focus, and they miss all these nice little markers along the way of things were getting a lot better, and I just kind of didn't see it.
You're so right.
So
You're so right. I
mhm.
mean, even adding to that list, sleep. You know,
Mm,
for some people, they can notice that their sleep gets better. They're like, "Wow, I'm actually
mm.
sleeping through the night." Or sleeping, whatever it is. So
Yeah.
that's huge.
Yeah, and sleep goes back to recovery, which we talked about in the beginning, right? Yeah, full circle here.
Full circle, man. Full circle, man. Um, but yeah, I mean, and so that leads into like, okay, so we've talked about goals, how to structure it a bit, the programs, how to look for progress. Sometimes I've noticed it myself, so we get into these thoughts of like only looking at the big thing and not looking at all the small steps, the journey towards that goal. So how can somebody do that for themselves? How have we done it for ourselves? I know the best way I've done it for myself is either keeping some type of log or having some type of external factor, meaning like somebody to hold me accountable, a coach or something like that,
Hmm.
to remind me of these things, or to point these things out to me. So yeah.
That's a really good question. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, number one, I think is somebody to remind you, somebody to point it out, say like, well, what has gotten better about your life, and people will start to put it together. So sometimes it's as simple as a question that people can start to think about, and with that same respect, you could use it as a chance to start journaling and saying like, what's my health inventory for today, and how does that look like it changes week to week. You could maybe do that on a daily basis and say, okay, my mood was 4 out of 10 at the beginning of quarantine, maybe it got worse for a little bit, and as I added movement back in, maybe we're back up to 7, we're back up to 8, whatever it is, that sort of stuff. And uh, then I'd say the other thing would be that you you just I lost my train of thought there.
It happens to the best of us here.
Yeah, yeah. So, what about you? What would you say?
Yeah, no, I mean, along the same lines there, because working out at home is tough. We've heard it from our clients about how it's tough to feel that motivation and get going, or having their own programs and stuff like that. So I think the best way is, if you can't afford it, to have some type of external accountability from like
Hmm.
a coach, just because that person can stay on top of you. There's no excuses on their end, and they can call you out when you have them on yours. And it just keeps you it just keeps you accountable, keeps you want to show up. It can identify and give you these spaces that you are getting better in, because doing it at home, it's definitely tough. I can even hold it myself to that. I think, even though right now I don't have a coach per se, I use the other coaches around me, watching what you guys are doing, seeing you post up a video holds me accountable. Like, oh yeah, I really got to do something. And also my clients are helping me as I help them. Me keeping them
Hmm.
accountable to this stuff is like, oh, like, dang, I got to show up for myself too, which is super important. So
Yeah, big time. And Yeah, what I wanted to say earlier too was that it's important to kind of also keep this whole thing in perspective, right? So that whole idea of just getting really good at exercise is great, but I like to take things outside of just fitness and just the gym and just at home workouts and try to apply that to life and play in general and trying to move in certain ways or move in new ways and learn new skills and stuff. And so I'm a very outdoor oriented person, so I enjoy things like hiking, like rock climbing and mountain biking, but I also like playing sports, and I play soccer and throw a little cross ball around, play basketball here and there. But it's things like those that kind of keep a good perspective on your progress from your workouts. And so if you can look at those things, and you can usually see progress in those areas just from what you're doing, and you can be like, oh wow, that actually did get a lot better or a lot easier, and it wasn't even something you were necessarily working on. It was just a byproduct of the routine and the habit of staying consistent with your workouts or staying consistent on your progress with your fitness and whatnot. So yeah, that was a big thing in my life, and what kept me accountable to all my training was I always saw it translate to other areas of my life, and it always got me past those moments in the gym where I was like, this, I don't want to do this, or it's hard today, or I don't want to push today. But I always in years and years of that reinforcement of like it makes things better, helps you do those hard things, and I think doing those hard things is key.
Dude, you nailed it, bro. Yeah, no, you definitely did, because yeah, that's totally honest. Like when you start to focus on those factors, how it equates to everything outside your life. That's the thing. Like being being fit, we all get stuck on the external, the physical, but like it does so much for us. Like literally, our bodies is what transfers us around to experience and get to do so much in life. So
Hmm.
being fit and healthy just allows you to do that easier. It allows you to experience life better with more. So yeah, you saying those
Hmm.
things are huge, and I think keeping that in mind when you're thinking about, oh, okay, I want to start working out and doing something for yourself is important. Not just think of, yeah, the other stuff.
Yeah, and two recent examples. Client came to me and said, she's been since day one adamant about hating running. And she was like, I had this experience the other day where I was out with a friend. We were taking a walk, and we just decided we wanted to run. And she was the one, my client was not the one who wanted to run, but she decided to run with her friend.
Yeah,
And she said it was like easy and it wasn't hard. And then the other person was the one who wanted to take breaks. And she was like, I could not believe that, because she's tried years and years on end of, like here and there of I'll try the couch to 5K and I'll try to run the 10K. And she'd even gotten up to almost running a half marathon at one point.
yeah,
But I just never enjoyed it. It always felt like a chore. And she's like, this time it just felt fine. It just felt fine. And I was like, yeah, that's amazing. That's sick. And then another one was a client. I think I can't remember who it was exactly, but they said they went on a hike and they just smoked all their friends up the hike.
yep,
And
I know what you're talking about.
remember the one?
Yep.
Yeah, yeah. And she was like, at the top of the hike, I was feeling fine, and all my friends were behind me, and they were like, "Oh my god, what have you been doing?"
I think we're speaking of Sarah.
Yeah,
Yeah,
right.
yeah, yeah. She.
Yeah, so
That's so cool.
it's those things. It's those things. And I think back to we did this vacation in Canada, and we did this really, really long hike, and it was maybe 13 miles, I think, of total round trip hike, and not easy, like lots of elevation here. And I thought of that, the furthest most point, and it was definitely like the payoff of the whole hike. It was an amazing view. We saw glaciers. We looked out over these like huge, beautiful
Mm.
landscapes. And if I hadn't had that base, I don't know if I would have been able to do that. Right? You would have gotten to a point and said, I think I need to turn around or whatever. So not only does it improve the things that you can do, it opens the door to new experiences or to new things that you weren't sure you could do. And so not only, I would, that would be a huge regret if I wasn't able to do that, or I wasn't able to make it on that hike for that 13 miles. But having a good base of fitness actually helped me experience that. And that's something that I won't forget in my life.
Yeah, no, I mean, you just talk about that same situation. Let's say, yeah, like you got to a point where you felt like you had to turn around or whatnot, or even if you made it to the end, but if you weren't in better shape or whatnot, during that experience, you could have been a lot of complaining about it. And then you're missing so much along the trail, you finally get there and you're like, oh, now I got to go back. And so it can make that experience not the best either. So, I mean, like, yeah, like you said, as you get stronger, as you start to move more, you can make those experiences better because you can take those same hikes and then look and be like, wow, I didn't even notice that over there last time because I was complaining about this going on the last time we did this hike. So it can make even the same experiences much better. So,
Right. I guess maybe at some point in one of these podcasts, we should talk about how fitness could be bad for your health. But I'm already struggling to come up with ways. But there's probably a way.
Oh, dude, I think there's ways to overdo it for sure.
For sure.
Yeah, we could definitely talk about that.
We all know the people who are obsessive and compulsive with their stuff, and it leads down a bad mental route. But that's for another day, I think.
Yep. Oh yeah, let's not go there today. It's already gray outside. I don't want to make it any grayer.
Ah, nice. I think that's like your second big metaphor for the
day. Oh man. Cool. So I mean, diving back into the workouts and for you at home, hopefully like everything that we gave you up to this point has you thinking like, okay, yeah, maybe I can do this or I want to do this. Now, how exactly do I do this? So we gave you a little bit difference in structures. And I think kind of piece together a plan for you that can be as hard as you want it to be is utilizing some of the high intensity interval training that Ben was talking about, like a 30-second on, 30-second off interval, and picking again 6 to 8 exercises. And so if we're going to focus on the entire body, you want to make sure that you're picking an exercise that can touch every major part there. So if we're breaking down these movements, it's going to look like you want something that's going to be squat focus, which is usually a good time to probably use something, add a little bit of explosiveness to it. I know, Ben, you're really big on adding an explosive component to the beginning of the workout there, or something within the workout. So it could be a squat, and if you can do a squat jump to add that explosiveness to it. After that, you can follow that up with either another lower body, like a hinge variation, like a deadlift or like a glute bridge, a single leg deadlift. Or you can vary it and then add maybe an upper body movement. So you can do something like a lower, upper core type of variation, just to add in a mix of things there. What movements would you say would be good at home? Let's say body weight. If someone doesn't have any equipment. So we have the squat. What else can we put in there for them?
I love the bridge or the hip hinge idea. So, having a glute bridge in there where you can do this on the floor, you can elevate your back and you can get it like you put your back on the couch and you can do the hip bridge from there, or you can put your feet up on the couch and your back on the floor and do a hip bridge from there. A couple different ways to hit the same groups but a little differently. You can throw in, push-ups or incline push-ups, or, if you're desperate, you can do knee push-ups. We prefer the other two. And then you can also throw in lunges. You can throw in planks or hollow holds or other variations of core movements. And, can always add the cardio stuff in. So you can always throw in jumping jacks, seal jacks. You can throw in burpees if you're so inclined. You can throw in mountain climbers, plank jacks. Even just running in place can be a solid cardio movement, especially if you add that intensity.
For sure. And you can, you can vary these movements around there to get, see what works best for you. You can start off with the cardio if you want to start off getting your heart rate up and then move into something, or again, like with the explosive movement, you can start with some squat jumps there, get your heart rate up early on, and then kind of structure it where you're flowing through and you start to recover a little bit, and then maybe have the cardio at the end again, so it spikes you back up, and then rest for about a minute or two, and then repeat that circuit. You can do that 3 to as many times as you want. Even if you get through it once, that's a great accomplishment if you haven't been doing anything. So if you take about those 6 exercises and you place those together and you do those for 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off, and you get through a round, that's awesome. Like, congratulate yourself, clap it up. And if you have the motivation to continue on, do another one. Like, make it work for you. And you can do that in that space there.
Yeah, that's a good point. And so I think, last question I really have for you is in that regard, how do you know if you're doing too much, and how do you know if you're doing too little with those workouts? So you talked about make it through 1 round, or you can make it through 5 rounds, or do what works for you. How are people going to know if what they've done that day is enough, too much, too little, etc.?
That's a good question, man. That's an awesome question. There's a few factors that I will look at there, and from the beginning, if you haven't been doing anything, it might take a little bit more like um, reflecting. You might have to go through it 1 or 2 times to actually identify how it's working for you. But I would say you want to look and see how the movements, your technique. I never want to sacrifice technique over just getting a good sweat in or feeling something, because if you're feeling something, it might not be the right thing if your technique is off. It could lead to you injuring or doing too much. So yeah, you want to look at your recovery. So technique, if you feel like if your form is really breaking down, it's probably time to stop. If you're unable to do the squat properly, the push up, or whatever it might be, might want to slow down. Maybe you need a little bit more recovery, or you just need to stop it at that point and then revisit the workout later on. Or again, recovery. So maybe if you think the 30 seconds is not enough, extend the 30-second rest a little bit more in between. Or if you think that it's too much, maybe you're going through and you're like, all right, I'm not even breaking a sweat here. Decrease that rest a little bit, or increase the work output, the time that you're working a little bit more, and see how that feels, doing that. Those are two major things I will look at. Yeah, technique and recovery, or the time that you're working.
I think those are awesome, and those are great, and especially during the workout. So if you're noticing in the workout, if you're feeling like your technique is failing, you need to scale back a little bit. If you feel like your recovery is not leaving you like able to do the next set, amp up the recovery. So, maybe take that recovery time up, and just like Demetrius said, you can manipulate those either way. And what I would say too is, relate it back to your goal. I mean, you're not just going for one workout here. I don't presume you would be going for one workout. You'd probably go for more. So if you're going for a habit, if you're going for some sort of change, you're going to need consistency. You're going to need sustainability. And so if you can't feasibly get at least 3 of these in a week or more, to develop that habit and to kind of start building, then you might want to look at how difficult you're making it. If it's that thing where you're waking up and you're just saying, oh man, I don't want to do it, that's probably means you're making it too challenging, or you just need to give it a little more time. But odds are it's a little too challenging. You need to make that first habit, that new habit, small and attainable, right? So just give yourself some wins, and then start to make it harder in those ways within the workout. So consistency and sustainability, big points there.
Yeah, no, you got it, man. Awesome. I'm feeling pretty good about that. I think hopefully everybody else is as well, and feels like they have something they can take and now go on with this. We gave a lot of good information on your mindset of working out at home, how you can do it, how to structure it. Ben, is there anything that you want to leave anybody else with, leave the listeners with?
You can do it. You can do this. Like, whatever you want to do, start doing it, and you can make it happen. It's all on you, and you can absolutely do it. So if you need any help, we're here for you guys. Even if you just got questions, you can leave them in comments. You can go to our website, and you can find a way to contact us. And we do have the 2-week free trial of our virtual group training, so you guys can hop in on that until mid-May. So feel free to use us as a resource.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, definitely take advantage of that, because again, you're going to see some coaching, so you'll see the difference of how it is doing it on your own and how it is having a coach. And at the same time, you get to see the exercises and the workouts. You can take those workouts, use them for yourself. Mm-hmm. You can get some ideas of what we're doing and what works for you and how it feels for you. So you can head to the website, like Ben said, and get the information on the free 2 weeks of virtual group training.
Beautiful.
Also, before we go, man, everybody, you have to comment. You got to let us know how good Ben sounds right now. Oh my goodness. If you're listening on the podcast, you don't know right now, Ben has an official mic set up in front of his face, and it just sounds beautiful on my end. So hopefully it sounds like that for you guys. If you're watching on YouTube, obviously you can see it, and you're probably like, wow, Mr. Ben Anderson is official. And
It feels very
and then you look
official.
at me and you're like, oh, he has headphones in his ears with the mic attached. Don't worry. I'm going to come up in the game too. All right.
Next week.
All right, man.
All right. Good talk, man.
Yes, sir. Catch you later.
See you guys next week.
See you later.